I think there's a natural trend right now in the industry for there'd be more prefabrication and creating modules of buildings and components and whatnot. And I think BIM, because it allows you to kind of proactively design and get to the level of that you can fabricate the modules of buildings. What should we be doing as an organization to encourage or sort of help break down barriers and create more of a framework to allow more prefabrication and modularization of the construction? Because I think there's some real opportunities there. And I want to direct this question to Dan, because I know PCL's been doing this a little bit, and you probably encountered some challenges, and maybe there's something you can share with the organization around how to approach that, how to set up systems. What could this organization be doing to help facilitate that kind of approach in construction?
Yeah, well, we have started a modular division, within the company, and it's not just some of the washrooms and things, but there is a lot of BIM that is required for that. I mean, it's about planning. Mostly for a contractor, not as much the I part, I believe. So what CanBIM can do, I'm not sure. They can provide some of the guidelines to help our trades, because a lot of these guys that are doing this, they're not BIMing. They're smaller contractors that are coming into a manufacturing environment, and so they need to understand where we're coming from and the technology. So I think learning some of these technologies and so on will also help.
With the concept of prefabrication, there must be challenges around contracting, and there's probably needs around education as well, because people don't come out of school necessarily being taught around manufacturing practices in a factory environment for construction, right? They come out of school saying, okay, I'm ready to enter the workforce and produce contract documents, or I'm ready to enter the workforce and be a general contractor or work as a subtrade and receive documents and then go to the job site and fabricate. So it's something that needs to, I think, happen start to finish from a philosophy standpoint, like the lean construction approach, where the builders and the designers are working together at a more early stage in the design process to design the building so it can be built through prefabrication and these other initiatives and whatnot. Do you think we should reach out and try to create a relationship between our organization and the Institute for Lean Construction? I think that's the name of them, right? The Institute for Lean Construction.
I think that one of the things I think we need to have a closer look at is how the website becomes that portal to kind of direct you. Out west, there is a conference coming up next month that talks to the issue of it's a modularization. And I've been invited as CanBIM to come and speak to the issue of BIM in that modularization. And in talking to the people who are organizing it, it struck me that, how do you get these synergies going, that you've got this flow of information between groups. And I think you can only do it through a means where there are portals and a website rather than individuals. But I think we have to start as CanBIM making these connections and then literally binding those connections to one another so they know to come to our website and ways in which we can link through to theirs. So reaching out to the Lean Construction Modularization Committee, tying in with the Alberta Centre for Excellence in BIM in what they're doing, where they're talking more about productivity around BIM-enabled technologies and less about the things that we're talking about here today. So I think that's what we have to do. We have to raise that kind of presence, because I think that the industry will evolve and change, but we just don't know what it looks like right now. We have a pretty damn good idea what it looked like 20 years ago, and but now there's this change on the horizon. We don't have that clear picture, but I think we need to be ready to make sure there is.
I think it's the battery on my computer is dying. That's what that is. It'll stop. Anyway, so I want to go to the floor if there's anyone who wants to come to a mic and ask a question or has new business. If not, I think we're kind of coming to the end of this new business section.
There's two right there.
Okay. Yeah.
Irina Klimczak from Group. Like we're talking about setting up all these standards and protocols and procedures, and which is great, and we'll integrate everybody and we'll know what we are doing. But I think we should concentrate maybe on reaching out to the owners and make them aware that things like that exist, and that they will demand that delivery will be according to these standards, because our work won't be valid without them knowing about it and having industry use them. So I think that's our role, to reach out to them and make sure that they are aware of what we are doing.
I think it's key that they participate in the development of the standards as well, because I mean, from my own perspective, you know, working on this general contractors committee, I have a seat at the table. I'm participating in developing our documents, so I had a hand in developing them, so I agree with them, and I'm going to encourage people to use them, and therefore I've accepted it, I've validated it. For owners to point to a document and say, this is what we want, you know, if Public Works or Defense Canada is going to do that, they have to participate in the development of those documents, because they want to have a hand in creating them, make sure that they get what they need. So I think what we need to do is make sure we pull the right people into that owners group and make sure they're participating in the development of everything that the organization does.
Yeah, because I think Irina's comment is good from that perspective, and that afterwards I'll encourage you to get in contact with the chair of that committee, Tony Valente, because that's one of the mandates that the owners committee wants to have, is educating owners, and they feel if they're coming as owners and educating owners, it's going to have more traction than contractors, architects, and engineers trying to do it, because they're looking at it from their perspective. So your point is well taken. I think that's where, once that starts to get into RFPs and into documents, things will change. People will then move forward. So maybe we can...
Because I think the big players will adapt to it very quickly, but maybe we should reach out to the smaller, because there is a lot of work that we get from the smaller owners, but they should be aware that things like that exist, and they can use it, and they can demand their product to be delivered like that.
I think we'll have, I mean, we should probably try to reach out to Oxford and the public, sort of the private owners, because I think they'd be a little faster to adapt standards.
I think, Tom, too, one other part too is our manufacturers. You know, I mean, that's another group that we need to reach out to, because, I mean, we're busy building families to put inside our models, and you know, especially on the modular end, I mean, we're creating, you know, studs and all kinds of other things that maybe we could get the real thing. And I'm sure the consultants would like that too, because you're specifying. You know, any manufacturer that I talk to, I certainly say that it used to be like the Sweets catalog that, remember when I worked for an architect, we used to go to, and that's what we spec'd. And so, you know, if we reach out to that group, because I think that's an important part of this 360 thing that Paul is talking about, that, you know, to go full circle about this and start there. There are softwares that can dumb down their models that they have, but they, you know, manufacturing's been modeling for some time now, and you know, and we needed to dumb them down so that we don't have that overkill inside our architectural models that we receive. So.
Good morning, Sasha Nikodievich with CanCell. There was discussion earlier about having a vendors subcommittee. I would like to make sure that resellers are involved. You know, Autodesk resellers, which we're one of, you know, we account for maybe 90% of the implementations of BIM.
Yep.
So, you know, leveraging what CanBIM develops will definitely make it easier for a lot of the small, medium firms to be more successful. So resellers should be definitely part of a vendor council.
Yeah, no, I like that idea. I mean, there's a lot of vendors, the resellers rather have a huge network, right? They reach everyone that buys software, essentially. So it's important to make sure they're participating in the group. That's a valid point.